have chosen South Korea for our cultural selection. So South Korea is very unique because in modern years they've kind of become like the technological advancement hub of the world. So that's what we try to focus on today, is kind of like South Korea's culture and how their advancements in technology has helped them so much and how it kind of hasn't helped them so much. So South Korea and North Korea, they were one nation until 1945. They divided, and North Korea took a very interesting government controversial route, and South Korea stayed under a constitutional monarchy, I think it is, and then so they've just been doing really well in technology. North Korea is not so well up there.
So the Koreas are split in 1953 after an armistice was signed between the two Koreas. The war is technically still ongoing, but there's no active fighting going along. It's separated between the 38th latitude, also known as the parallel, or the DMZ. In the late 20th century, they drifted away from labor-intensive manufacturing as a form of revenue and adopted a more capital-driven and technology, and the tech field started growing. Samsung and LG are some of the main corporations that operate out of South Korea, with $174 million in revenue being made by Samsung alone and $74 million in LG alone. Also, their internet speeds are among the highest with 26.3 megabytes per second, and the next highest is Hong Kong with 20.1 megabytes per second. Globally, the average is 6.3 megabytes per second, so take that into consideration.
Alright, so my topic was on the PC banks, or also known as internet cafes. An internet cafe is a place where like serious gamers or young people will come together and play video games for sometimes an hour, sometimes upwards of 24 hours. The draw of an internet cafe is that it has high-speed internet, as well as very nice PCs and consoles, and they only cost 44 cents to $1.30 per hour. And they also have good access to snacks. This is a picture. So there's a few issues that come up with internet cafes, and one of them is people smoking indoors, and that's a big problem because indoors people will get secondhand smoke. And then another negative effect is that people aren't getting the exercise they need to operate as like a normal person. And they're also, the snacks they have there are not the healthiest snacks. They're kind of like Doritos, sodas, and energy drinks. And it's kind of an antisocial activity just to be on a video game for hours upon hours on end. Like one of the only positive side effects that I could find is that the youth are not going to nightclubs anymore and partying all the time. So the change that's coming along recently is some internet cafes are banning smoking indoors, and they're worried that this would cause some customers to be driven away. But it's more important for public safety than to keep customers. Another negative effect is that nightclubs are dying out. They're not popular anymore. People like the millennial generation just doesn't want to go dance at a nightclub. And then they're trying to increase their options of healthy snacks and better, more nutritious stuff that they offer. And along with technology, the gaming industry and the PC bank industry is increasing like very rapidly. I'd say pretty much exponentially.
Thank you, Colby. So basically you've heard about how technology can, pull you apart or bring you together. And what I'm about to discuss is like a really strong example of how it, brings people apart and fractures trust in communication. And this is especially the case with the youth and the government and amongst other youth in South Korea regarding this subject. So what is the spy cam epidemic? So basically, it began in 2010, right? People started reporting seeing videos of themselves taken without their consent online, and they had no idea how. But people started figuring out, okay, where are these angles coming from? So basically, what's happening is people are implanting tiny little cameras in private areas, bathrooms, changing rooms, hotel rooms, and taking these videos and then posting them online. And it's only gotten worse. The cases have risen from 1,100 cases in 2010 to more than 6,500 in 2017. So it's a big problem, and it's only getting worse. And it's not just, a certain type of person, it's everybody. Everybody is affected, and nobody knows who exactly, is doing it. Because, honestly, the perpetrators range from all walks of life. There have been cases where the perpetrators are teachers, even policemen. So nobody is exempt, and everybody is affected by this. So what are these spy cams? Well, basically, increased camera technology, or improved I should say, has allowed for the miniaturization of cameras. Take your average security camera. Pretty big, easy to spot. But in this case, they're about this big. And they become so sophisticated that you can actually record audio along with video in some cases. And this is what they look like. That's small. So it's like, how do you see them? It's like you have to you have to be constantly vigilant because anything could be bugged. In this case, this was hidden in an office, and you can see how little space it takes up. I could just be sitting in an office recording you all day, and you have no idea. And people are angry, understandably. People want change. They're upset. They feel like the government's not doing anything. They feel like offenders don't get punished, and it's true. They get 0 to no sentences, or it's a light slap on the wrist. Nothing really happens to them, and they're free to just repeat again and again. And there's no accountability for people who buy them. That's it, you buy it, and you're just a face. Nobody knows who bought it, or when, or how much money was spent. There's no way to track these people. They can just keep doing it over and over. This was a protest that occurred in Seoul. And as you can see, there's no small amount of people. People care. People are upset. So, how has the government responded to this? Well, it's been decent. They've appointed 500 business owners and citizens to act as, volunteer inspectors, to volunteer their own time, their own energy, kind of make things safer. They've agreed to spend $4.5 million. That's transferred to U.S. dollars to equip local government with better equipment. You don't have the tools for the job, you can't get the job done. So they're going to strengthen inspections in public areas, all over Korea. And now these, creating the videos, you can be punished by up to 5 years in prison, and if you're convicted of distributing them, that's 7 years. So these aren't small sentences. They're actively trying to help the problem. And it's not just the government that has tried to chip in and find solutions. It's the private sector as well. So people have found that if you hold a red cellophane, essentially a piece of red cellophane over a camera lens, your own, and take a picture of a suspected spy cam location, you're going to see a tiny little red flash where the lens is. And if you see that, it's more than likely a spy cam. So how do we fix this, moving forward? So basically, they're going to add a bill that tracks these users and adds them into a database for whoever buys a spy cam. You know, so from that point, you can track them, and you know what's happening. And ultimately, this is all in an attempt to repair the breakdown in trust in communication amongst Korean society. And it's especially prevalent between the young and the government, because they feel like the government's not doing enough and they need to do more. So the government is clearly making steps, but it's an ongoing problem. It's still happening today. And it's only, potentially, if people aren't serious about stopping it and the government isn't serious about stopping it, then trust is going to continue to break down and communication is going to be further fractured. So there are definitely some downsides to technology. Korea has this dark side, and this is just one way that dark side is being expressed. And now I'm going to throw it over to Sean for the conclusion.
Yeah, so basically with those two examples, we're hoping to show you how not only just South Korea, but a nation who's leading technological advances, how that shapes like the society with the internet cafes and how nightclubs aren't as popular, and like the cameras, how government like involvement needs to be checked at all stages. And yeah, so that was kind of South Korea's culture and how technology's shaped that in a modern perspective. Thank you.